By the way, I hope you like my perfect recreation of the John Hancock building. That's exactly what it looks like. Standing 200 feet away is your distance along the ground. This is my 200 feet. $80 degrees is the angle from the ground to the top of the building. Here's your 80 degrees. And we're asking how tall is the building. We're asking for this height. That's where X should go. So hopefully your diagram looks something like that. Now we're going to set up our trig ratio. What do we know? What are we trying to find? We know this side right here is my adjacent. We are trying to solve for my opposite across from my 80. Don't care about the hypotenuse. Not labeled with anything. So I know adjacent, I want opposite. So which one deals with adjacent and opposite? It's tangent. Tangent of my angle. I'll give you a 10-second head start in setting this up before I do it. Angle's 80 degrees equals tangent's opposite over adjacent. Opposite goes on top. Adjacent goes on the bottom. Remember, we solve these by getting rid of the fraction. We want to multiply to get rid of our fraction. Multiply by whatever's on the bottom. And that means the 200s here cancel, and we just have x on this side. Oh, x is already by itself. So we have now solved for x. What is it? It's 200 tangent of 80. And 200 tangent of 80, if you put it in the calculator, I'm going to go to the nearest tenth, like I have been doing for all my side lengths. That's 1134.25, so 1134.3 feet. Don't forget the labels on your answers. Questions on that one? That was actually the hard one of today because you actually had to make the diagram yourself.
I did everything, but I didn't get the same answer. I put it into my calculator.
Calculator trouble?
I don't know.
Let's see.
20.
Oh, 200. Other questions? Got it now? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Next one. My hint to you is that we're going to use this triangle. And I'll give you about 30 seconds and see if you can set up which one we're going to use. We're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. what's my angle? Which one goes on top? Which one goes on the bottom of the fraction? Here's my angle. I know the side across from it. That's my opposite. I'm trying to solve for the one across from the right angle. That's my hypotenuse. I know opposite. I want hypotenuse. The one that tells us about opposite and hypotenuse is sine. Sine of my angle, 21, equals, our opposite is 1200. Goes on top. Our hypotenuse goes on the bottom. Get rid of the fraction by multiplying by what's on the bottom. So what's on the bottom here, that is x. So multiply by x on both sides. Then the x's cancel. No more fraction, and we just have our 1200. No more fraction anymore. Bad news is we haven't solved for x yet. Remember, sine of 21 is just a number. So we have x times a number. How do we solve for that? Well, we divide by the number. .3348.5. Oh, don't let me forget it. What should I put on the answer? Feet. Watch for it. Questions on that? 2 down, 1 to go. While we're on the subject of calculator stuff, my suggestion is I would not use the standard calculator that comes with the phone. It is more complicated to learn what goes where, and it's harder to keep track of what you're typing in. For most things in this class, it's fine, but with the trig specifically, it's tricky to keep track of what you're doing with that. So my suggestion, if you don't have a standard calculator sitting in front of you, if you go onto my modules page, one of the links that's at the top, along with kind of the online textbook, along with my videos here, at the very top of the page, calculator. So I have a calculator there that is a very good calculator. I'd suggest that that's what you use. I believe it works on the phones as well. You can use it on your Chromebook, but that'll make it easier for you to keep track of what you're typing in and what you're doing. I would not suggest using the standard phone calculator for these problems. You can, and if you need help with that, let me know. But I would suggest using a little bit fancier calculator. Moving on. I'm going to give you about 1 minute. And I want you to see if you can get all the way down to solving this one from start to finish. By the way, this angle here has a name. It's the same. Anytime we have an angle that is going from the ground looking up at something. So it was the same with the first one we did with the building. When we were on the ground looking up at the building, we said that angle is 80 degrees. That angle is called an angle of elevation. So if you're at the bottom of something looking up at it, that's an angle of elevation. It is called an angle of depression if it's the opposite, if you're at the top of something looking down. But if it's going upwards, angle of elevation. I'll pause for a moment here and let you work and solve. It says round your answer to the nearest foot. So we're going to, instead of going to the nearest tenth, it's asking for rounding to the nearest whole number here. So most of the time we round to the nearest tenth, but this problem specifically asks us for the nearest whole number as far as rounding.
What does the angle looking down mean?
Oh, the angle looking down was called angle depression. I think there's a problem later on in your notes that will say that as well, and I'll point it out again when we get there. Next week, by the way, what we're going to be looking at is right now we've been using angles that we know to solve for sides that we don't. Right? I know the angle is 3 degrees, and I want to solve for that side there, D. Next week, we're going to talk about going the other way. I have sides that I know and angles that I don't. And how are we going to solve those? So that's what we're going to look at next week. And then after that, we're going to put it all together and do a process called solving right triangles. So all the ideas we've been talking about for the past couple weeks are going to start to come together. And we're going to solve for a whole bunch of different things in triangles. Sine, cosine, or tangent. I know. Opposite. I want. Hypotenuse. That's the one that deals with opposite and hypotenuse. It's sine. Sine of my angle is just 3. It's a pretty small angle. Opposite is 500 over the hypotenuse is D. Multiply by what's on the bottom to get rid of the fraction. So these cancel, and I just have 500 on this side. But I haven't solved for the variable yet, so I got to keep going. D times this is just a number, so I want to divide it. So the exact answer is 500 over sine of 3. If I round to the nearest whole number, that is going to be 9, 5, 5, 4. this calculator. You need to put the number first and then put sign.
Okay.
So 500 divided by, and I want sine of 3, so I'm going to put 3, and then I'm going to put sine equals. Okay. Any other calculator trouble? Oh, hold on a second. That's going to sound weird because this clipped off when I ran forward. Hang on. You guys have, some of you have something written down here that I don't have written down. What's missing? Feet. Have your labels on your answers. Don't forget them.